I'm messaging Ron right now, hoping we can set space. So,
Okay, so is the iPhone here?
I'm on.
he's on.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Good evening, everyone. It's 5:32, so I will call this December 11th, 2025 meeting of the Village of Four Seasons Planning and Zoning Commission to order. We now have a roll call of the commissioners present to confirm that we have a quorum. Elisa Duba.
Here.
Larry Bayless.
Here.
Chuck Fagley.
Here.
Ron Mather.
Here.
Bill
Here.
Pitt. Here. And the chair, Darrell Barber, is here. So I'd like to record reflect that we do have a quorum present. Before we get into the meeting, would everyone please join us and I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, I'm already getting the signal to speak up, so if you can't hear me, please throw something at me and say something. And bear with me, I've got a script kind of written out to make sure we cover all the topics and issues and kind of jump through all the hoops that we need to jump through. The primary purpose of today's meeting is to conduct a public hearing to consider an application to rezone a 33.37 acre parcel of land, which is located on the south side of Horseshoe Parkway between the Regency Code subdivision and Treetops condominiums. The property in question is currently owned by Havens 5 LLC. The application was submitted by Keller Development Group. The Board of Trustees approved a rezoning request for the same property at the July 9th, 2025 meeting. The acreage for that application is listed at 36.92 acres. The trustees approved zoning 2 lots, 1.67 and 1.88 acres next to Horseshoe Parkway as commercial. The current applicant is not requesting to change the zoning of those 2 commercial lots. It is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, that the replat for those 2 commercial lots, lost my place, sorry. That for the replat for those 2 commercial lots was recently recorded with Camden County after we received this current application. So there are some discrepancies between the property sizes, and the 33.37 and the 36.92. So
They have not been recorded yet. There was,
but they filed.
they have filed, there's some changes on some of the wording.
Okay.
And they will be done tomorrow and then sent to the recorder's office.
The bottom line is those 2 commercial lots are not being considered for rezoning. So
I'm sorry, could you give me your name?
My name's Dwight Newman,
Can you spell that?
DWIGHTNEWMAN. I will also be called Ike most of the night.
okay. The remaining 33.37 acres are currently zoned R1 residential with a special use permit. The application that is being considered tonight requests that the zoning be changed as follows. A 2.9 acre parcel along the shoreline between Treetops Village and the existing dock for the Busch estate would be zoned as R1 residential. A 1.6 acre parcel along the shoreline of Budding Regency Code subdivision would also be rezoned as R1 residential. The remaining 28.87 acres would be zoned as R2 residential, which would allow construction of multifamily dwellings. Again, please note that the acreage amounts are listed on the application and site plan that we have some small discrepancies. Specifically, the site plan lists the acreage amount for R2 as 28.1 acres instead of the 28.87 acres. If everyone hasn't done so, I would encourage you to familiarize yourselves with the rules of conduct for our meetings. There's copies out in the hallway if you didn't get one. I won't take time to read the whole list. But first, I just want to highlight a couple of items please turn off or silence any cell phones. Any and all comments, you need to come to the podium and address the commission. If someone else needs to answer that, or it is the applicant or someone else, like Mr. Newman, then they, after you finish speaking, can come up and answer those questions. I need to try to keep it and avoid crosstalk in the audience. We have, of course, a stenographer here documenting it, and it gets really hard for her to get all that chatter recorded if there's multiple people talking. When you come to the podium, please state and spell your name and also list your address so that you can get that down for the record. Anyone wishing to speak, there is another sign-up sheet out in the hallway. I have parked here, but there's also another sign-up sheet out in the hallway if you wish to sign up at a later time if you want to speak on this matter. So with those housekeeping items addressed, I will open the public hearing. As noted, we took a roll call. We do have a quorum present. The village's planning and zoning ordinance establishes several public notice requirements that must be met within specified timeframes. These include advertisement in the local newspaper, mailing notices to neighboring property owners, and posting a sign on the parcel being considered for rezoning. Danielle, have all of the public notice requirements concerning this matter been completed in the specified timeframes?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Danielle. Before we get into the presentations regarding this application, I want to take a moment to remind the commissioners as well as the audience members of the purpose of this hearing. The planning and zoning ordinance states that this commission is to consider the following items prior to rendering the decision. 1, conformance with the comprehensive plan. 2, the effect this request would have on schools, traffic, streets, shopping, public utilities, and adjacent properties. 3, is the application necessary for the public convenience at this location? 4, is the application so designed, located, and proposed to be operated that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected? And 5, will the application cause injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood in which it is located? Also, please keep in mind that this commission is an advisory board for the Board of Trustees. So we can't approve or deny an application. Our responsibility is to make a recommendation for approval or denial to the Board of Trustees regarding this requested zoning change. Assuming the requested zoning is approved by the Board of Trustees, the site plan and related development plans will be reviewed by the village's building inspector for compliance with building codes and relevant village ordinances. The village has received approximately, I'm going to change my notes, 7 emails and letters from residents with questions and concerns about this matter. In one of the emails, the resident specifically requested that his message be read into the record of any proceedings for this matter is being considered. Based on the advice of legal counsel, we're going to read those emails and letters so that they are marked, made part of the record. I've asked the vice chairperson, Lisa Duba, to assist me with reading the emails. I think my allergies are kicking in on this already. I will start off with the first one. This is from Clint Leducer. And we're going to consider these exhibits in the transcript. So this is exhibit A. The first one is from Clint Leducer, who is also a member of this commission, but is not available to be here. And it says, I have come against a conflict for December 11th. I will not be in attendance. However, I reviewed all the pertinent documents that have been forwarded to me. Should you accept my vote in my absence, I would not vote to approve based on material that was forwarded to you. Clint Leducer, realtor, Keller Williams, Liquors of Realties. I will make a comment real quick regarding that. He had asked about counting his vote. I don't feel that it's appropriate since he is not here to hear public input and responses from the applicant. So I don't think it's appropriate to count that, unless there's objections from the commissioners.
Exhibit B, to the Village of the Four Seasons Planning and Zoning Commission and Village Clerk. I'm writing to formally express my strong opposition to the proposed rezoning application, case number 2052.02, for the property located off Horseshoe Bend Parkway, legally described as part of Lot 1, 2, and 5 in Eagles Nest and Horseshoe Bend Palisades subdivisions. Parcel identities, refer to Exhibit B for the details on that. The proposal seeks to change the current zoning classification from single family with a single use permit to single family, multifamily, and commercial. I urge the committee to deny this request and maintain the existing single family zoning due to the following concerns that will negatively impact our community and quality of life, as well as decrease our property values. Number one, increased traffic congestion. The significant increase in residential density associated with multifamily development will put an unmanageable volume on traffic onto Highway HH and into our local subdivision roads. Our current infrastructure is not designed to handle this increased capacity, which will create substantial safety hazards. Number two, impact of short-term rentals. A change to higher density zoning would allow short-term rentals, a use that is inconsistent with the long-term residential character that we value in our neighborhood. This transient occupancy could affect neighborhood stability and security. Number three, excessive boat traffic. The increased development density would result in a substantial rise in boat traffic in an area of the lake that is already heavily used. This raises significant concerns about safety on the water and potential negative environmental impacts in an already busy region. I respectfully request that the Planning and Zoning Committee consider these concerns regarding the impact on infrastructure, public safety, and community character and vote against this rezoning application. My representative will attend the public hearing on Thursday, December 11th, 2025 to vocalize my concerns. Thank you for your time and consideration regarding this important matter. Sincerely, Lisa Burris. You are our advocate.
Okay, Exhibit C is an email from Steve Brick, subject Kelly Development Group / Lock Development LLC rezoning request regarding Busch property. I am a property owner at 433 Regency Cove Drive and have heard from several in the community that there is another rezoning request for the Busch property adjacent to Regency Cove Drive. And like the rezoning request that was just recently considered by the board in June, I have not received any notice of this rezoning request in the hearing and has made it difficult to attend. I did get on your website today and review the rezoning map that has been proposed, which appears to include 28.1 acres of multifamily residential zoning. Suffice it to say, I am certainly opposed to the rezoning and ask the board to deny the request. At the outset, I want to remind the board that just this last summer, a rezoning request was submitted and considered by the board. The owner / applicant was asked repeatedly about the ability of the developer to complete the development of property as single family with commercial lots along Horseshoe Bend Parkway. The developers showed the board and the many affected residents in attendance that they had thoroughly evaluated the property and were confident in the success of the development as proposed. Now the developer submits this incredibly burdensome rezoning request. I have heard that the proposed multifamily residential use envisions around 400 residential units. A development of that size would generate conservatively 800 additional vehicles, likely more given the recreational nature of the lake or of the area. I have driven Horseshoe Bend Parkway on the holidays / weekends, and traffic congestion is already a serious issue with traffic being backed up past the old Carl's for hours on a Sunday. The proposed development, if approved, would exacerbate the traffic in the area exponentially. The situation would make the existing road infrastructure even more unmanageable for the community and exacerbate public safety response difficulties for the area. The traffic burdens could also significantly impact our street, Regency Cove Drive. Access that is being proposed from the development onto our street. Such a situation is untenable. In addition, the potentially transient nature of a multifamily residential development with Airbnb, VRBO rentals also exponentially alters the character of the community in the area. Transient residential uses lead to increased crime, property destruction / deterioration, noise, and traffic. Such a large multifamily residential use will increase the burdens on already burdened police, fire, EMT resources. In addition, such uses for property significantly impact the property values in the area, particularly the single-family homes in our neighborhood. I also have serious concerns about bullet point 1, the high-density residential use proposed will require very expensive infrastructure to collect, transport, and treat sanitary sewage generated on the property. The facilities and infrastructure will also be expensive to repair and maintain and enforce. Bullet point 2, the proposed high-density residential will require a vast concrete surface for a parking lot to accommodate the cars associated with the units. The parking lot and large structures will increase stormwater flow exponentially, causing significant drainage burdens in the area and our neighborhood. Third bullet point, the proposed high-density use will dramatically alter and affect the nature and character of the community and our neighborhood. It would add light pollution in the area and eliminate a significant amount of forestry in the area. We appreciate community's efforts at preserving the tree canopy as much as possible to preserve the nature of the area. The burdens on road and drainage infrastructure, public safety resources, and the impacts to the community, our neighborhood, and the area weigh against the rezoning application. I ask that the board deny the rezoning request and insist that the developer develop the land in the manner that the owner requested of the board just a few months ago. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you. Steve Britt, attorney at law.
Now, exhibit D, which was an email from Jeff Meyer to the village clerk, subject Regency Cove owner objections / Village of Four Seasons Busch property zoning. My name is Jeff Meyer. My wife, Mary Ann, and I, 289 Regency Cove Drive. We were advised of a proposed zoning that would drastically affect the neighborhood we love. This address affords us peace and tranquility that would be severely upset with the codes. We do not support the proposed development and investigated for possible approval in the context of a zoning change for the former Busch property. The following are the points initially concerning related to the proposal. Number 1, how is drainage necessitated by the development of the property being handled? During heavy rain events, we have seen the ditches along Regency Cove take significant drainage and are concerned any additional drainage in that infrastructure would overwhelm the Regency Cove drainage capacity, causing flooding, increased erosion, increased silting of the lake in Regency Cove, and other impacts. Number 2, the proposed development now includes high-density uses such as condo towers. Though tragic enough, could hotels and rental properties become part and parcel to the development? Most important to every homeowner and visitor traveling Horseshoe Bend Parkway is the traffic. What is proposed brings a significant increase in the number of cars on the bend. Traffic congestion in its current form on weekends and holidays is severe. It becomes dangerous and so inefficient for those traveling, including their energy consumption for all the vehicles being delayed for hours. This proposal exacerbates that issue. Has the local police, fire, and road district provided comments? Number 3, we are concerned about covenants and local laws governing storage and sheds in the backyards or parking areas. We are concerned the backyards or parking lots appear to back up to Regency Cove Drive and will presumably be what we see from our home. Backyard storage tends to get out of hand and can significantly impact other people's property values. What rules, covenants, or other restrictions are there governing storage, sheds and use of the backyards in this development, and how will they be enforced? This also impacts drainage. I would like to hear more about the developer. What is their financial capacity for resourcing infrastructure needs like water and sewer and road networks? Believe a water tower would be required. What environmental impact statements have been completed and reviewed by who? Interested in the overlapping jurisdictional authority on these issues. Four Seasons POA property, Camden County or Village Ultimate Authority. This kind of proposed growth has impacts beyond the village. Has zoning board requested financial statements and explored previous developments successfully completed by the developer, and what resources he has if the development were to take an extended period of time? Is he borrowing funds to complete the project, and if so, how much loan to value? Will Four Seasons POA owners being appraised of the possibility of new homes in the development being authorized for rentals? Are there any commercial projects being considered at the water, like restaurants or large docks? I'm also concerned about any potential commercial zoning becomes an add-on to this project. Please read these instructions into the record of all future village meetings related to the proposals revising zoning for the former Busch property. While traveling and unable to attend in person, we hope this message, along with others that provide comment, will discourage any future zoning changes encompass the scope of the project being proposed. Thank you, Jeff Murphy.
Exhibit E, an email from Susan Steinway. Subject rezoning request 2025-02 to the Village of Four Seasons Planning and Zoning Commission. I am writing to inform you that I am opposed to the rezoning for case number 2025-02 for the property located off Horseshoe Parkway, part of lot 1, 2, and 5 in Eagles Nest and Horseshoe Palisade subdivisions. This proposal is trying to change the current zoning classification from single family to single family, multifamily, and commercial. Please deny this request and maintain the existing single family zoning. The requested change will negatively impact our community and quality of life, as well as decrease our property values. Bullet point number 1, traffic. The increase in residential density that comes with multifamily development will significantly increase the traffic volume on an already busy, congested road. Bullet point 2, boat traffic. It will also result in a substantial rise in boat traffic in an area of the lake that is already too busy. Safety on the water, more big boats with wave impacts and docks, impossible to use on weekends. Bullet point 4, I'm sure short-term rentals would follow, which would be terrible for lake congestion and road traffic. In bullet point 4, we hope that the Planning and Zoning Committee will vote against this rezoning application. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Henry Steinledge, 229 Royal Court.
Good. Exhibit F is a letter to the Village of Four Seasons. This is regarding the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewing a zoning proposal on the property formerly known as the Anheuser-Busch Complex. In or about 2003, we found ourselves in a similar situation to the proposal being submitted to the P&Z Commission. As developer of the estate subdivision, we have property facing Charleston and Southwood Shores condominiums. An ideal scenario for our building condominiums or villas as opposed to single-family detached homes. However, the property was zoned R1, thus prohibiting either. We approached the village to change the zoning from R1 to R2. At that time, there was opposition to additional condominiums, but a favorable acceptance of attached villas. We were ultimately granted R2 status with the provision that we would only build villas and not condominiums. Financially, condominiums would have provided a greater return on our investment versus attached villas, but we understood the concerns presented by the citizens of the village. In 2017, the village conducted a comprehensive plan in association with Missouri State University. When asked what type, if any, new development citizens would like to see, almost 50% said single-family residential, while just over 10% indicated multifamily residential. In keeping with the citizens' wishes in the comprehensive plan and the precedent set with the estate's property, it seems fitting and appropriate that if R2 is approved, it should also provide a provision that only villas and not condominiums be built. Sincerely, Michael Rock.
Exhibit G is a letter from the Camden County Public Water Supply District number 4. It's addressed to Mr. John Locke, developer, regarding water and sewer service for proposed Busch property development. Dear Mr. Locke, Camden County Public Water Supply District number 4, the district has reviewed your preliminary inquiry regarding water and sewer service for the proposed development located off Horseshoe Parkway at the former Busch properties, consisting of approximately 350 units at completion of construction. Based on the information provided to date, the district confirms its ability to serve the project subject to and contingent upon: 1. Application for service. Your submission of the district's development application for water/sewer service to the district, including preliminary plat and site plans for the proposed development. A copy of the application was provided in our meeting on the project on December 3rd at the district office. 2. Design of improvements. Payment to the district for design or design review of all required water and sewer improvements necessary to serve the development. 3. Development/service extension agreement. Execution of the district's development/service extension agreement will outline the responsibilities of both parties regarding construction, inspection, easements, and other requirements for extension and acceptance of improvements. 4. Impact fees. Prepayment of all applicable impact fees associated with the project as defined by the district's current fee schedule. 5. Off-site improvements. Acquisition and construction of any off-site improvements required to provide adequate water and sewer service to the development. Please note that this letter does not constitute final approval or a guarantee of service until all conditions above are satisfied and approved by the district's board of directors. We look forward to working with you to ensure the successful extension of water and sewer service to your project. If you have any questions or need assistance with the application process, please contact our office. Sincerely, Anthony Butt, General Manager.
Then I have a letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission, Village of Four Seasons, Missouri, regarding the planning and zoning hearing on December 11th, 2025. Dear Chairperson, I am unable to attend tonight's hearing for the rezoning of the property located off Horseshoe Parkway that Locke Development and Kelly Development have requested. As I am a trustee and planning and zoning liaison for the board, I am appointing Ike Newman, the village building official, to represent on my behalf for this meeting. Regards, Dave Perdue, Vice Chairperson, Board of Trustees.
Okay, you got that all ready. Thank you. In the packet of materials provided to the commissioners is a staff report by the village's building inspector, Ike Newman. Ike, is there anything that we need to add at this time?
No, there's not.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Ike at this time? Before we hear from representatives regarding the applicant, from the owner or the applicant, there's a couple of items, discrepancies in the paperwork that I need to get clarified for the record. Who's going to speak on behalf of the applicant?
I'm going to start.
Okay.
We may all speak it.
Can you provide your name for her?
Matt Marshke, MARFCHKE.
On the first page of the application in the field where it says name of new owner or owners, it says not applicable, but it's my understanding that there's a contingent sales contract on the property. Is that case?
At the time I filled it, I wasn't sure who the new owner was gonna be due to the organization of my boss. I would, Mark, what is the name of the company?
Kelly Development Group.
Kelly Development Group.
So it'll be Keller Development Group.
Yeah, it was gonna be assigned to an LLC based on its getting to our zoning search.
I'm sorry.
It will be assigned
Can you
to
give
an
her-
LLC, I'm sorry,
Can you provide your name for her?
Mark Kelly,
Okay,
K-E-L-L-I.
and what was your comment?
So Kelly Development Group LLC is the purchaser at this point. That contract will be assigned based on us, getting through some of these meetings and zoning. And it will be assigned to a new company, which I will still be the owner of with my partners.
The second item on page 2 of the application, where it asks for the present zoning classification. The boxes for R1, R2, and commercial were checked. I am not aware of any R2 zone.
Well, you didn't have the special use permit that we had for the duplexes on the second tier. That was allowed by the conditional use permit, so that's how I
I'm
represented that.
sorry, that was allowed by what?
In the last rezoning hearing, we were changed all the property to residential with a conditional use permit for the attached town. So which to me is an R2, so we just kind of checked in there. I apologize if that's wrong, but I didn't know how else to convey that we had the CUP for kind of duplexes.
So you were referencing the R2,
Yes,
via the special use.
yeah,
And then the third item, and again, I brought this up as far as the discrepancies on acreage. You had listed 36.2 acres. Is that just a typo? Is it
and most
not?
likely, I'll go back and revise that, give my surveyor.
So it should be 36.92.
Yeah, we changed a little bit in the last couple hours of submittal. I apologize that we didn't.
I'm just kind of dot some i's and crossing
It's
t's.
within an acre or two, I believe, yeah.
The fourth item. On page 2, it asks for is transfer of ownership of the tract dependent upon granting or rezoning, and it was checked no, but I'm assuming since there's a contingent contract. This zoning is a contingency, is that
It usually is, but at the time I was told they're buying the property,
either way?
either way, yeah.
What is, do we know now?
I'd have to ask Mark if that's changed.
I'll buy the property either way, yeah. I'll buy the property either way. But you asked me who would close on it, and it depends on what we get done with our zoning.
And then finally, the fields, was there prior application to rezone this tract? It was marked no, but as I stated, we had a rezoning request back in July. So.
Okay.
All right, so we got those kind of discrepancies cleared up, so I will now turn it over to, I guess, to Matt. And whoever else from K 5 or Keller Development Group wish to make comments. Again, as you approach the podium, please give your name and spell it for the stenographer. And I'm gonna ask the crowd, we can't have people shouting at questions and stuff. If you have questions for them, please sign up and then take your time to ask the questions next. Matt, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. I apologize for the discrepancy in the application. You got my name, man. Again, my name's Matt Marshke. I'm a consulting engineer. I'm here with Mark Kelly, John Locke, Kevin, and Dan Dexter, who is the development team, along with Lee Schumann, who is our project surveyor. Curtis Oshie is the current owner of Havens 5. He's also with us here somewhere along the property. He's in the back. The proposed project is currently surrounded by multifamily and commercial property. As you can see from some of these other exhibits here, most of the property in the village about this parcel is in fact condos now. In fact, the homes are the minority in the landscape there. We propose to increase the multifamily on this parcel. The master plan at one point showed this parcel as commercial with a residential mix and a piece that wasn't zoned. So whether we're complying there is kind of a gray area. On the east side of the property. Here, we border the treetops. Over here, we have Emerald Bay. There's some other condo projects here. There's some other condo projects here and across the way.
You mean Regency Code?
Is that what I said?
You said Emerald Bay.
I'm sorry, Regency Code. The main purpose of the rezoning is to place the condos on the lake edge. The rest of this property will remain mostly undeveloped, maybe some garages, but wouldn't have any multifamily projects on. The project's being mitigated both in stormwater, everywhere stormwater leaves, we can't increase the runoff. So the concerns from the neighbor are justified, but are regulated. So wherever we
I'm
leave.
sorry, I can't hear you.
The concerns about stormwater is regulated in the city village code, which requires us not to allow the water to be increased in runoff. We have buffer zones all around the property. We buffer the residential on the east, we buffer the residential on the west. We also are kind of a buffer back to the Parkway. There are 2 right of ways that allow this property to access treetops here and here, and those won't be used. There will be no traffic going through our neighbor's property. In fact, we'll be building a new road that takes us out to the Parkway. That road's been approved by the road district. And meets both site distances, road grades, and safety. Right now, the project's ready to go. We've got water, we've got sewer, we've got data, we've got power, everything we need to build the project. We believe that this is the highest and best use of this property that doesn't conflict with the master plan, nor other development trends in the area. I'm going to turn it over to the rest of my team to kind of build on what I have here. If you have any questions, let me know.
Whoever's next.
Yeah, I'm Lee Schuman,
How do I spell your last name?
SCHUMAN. I'm also on the sign up sheet, if you need to find that. And then, I'm gonna be acting as the, surveyor for the project, my company is, and, I am also a licensed engineer. The other, one of the things I wanted to mention, I'd seen some of the letters, was about water and sewer capacity. So, currently, the system does not have capacity to serve this. That's why Camden County number 4 developed an impact. And they are looking impact fee. So that has been established with this development. And once there is a complete set of plans and the impact fee is paid, that will be available. Not only will that upgrade the system to meet the capacity to serve this development, but in those capacity upgrades, there'll be some solutions implemented to the current system. Right now, there are a few things in the Rocky Club's wastewater treatment plant that the district would really like to fix. And this was something that, if this starts with those impact fees, that would definitely be a sign that they could move forward, increase capacity, and fix some of those small discrepancies in that plant and in other parts of the collection system. Also, parts of the water system that they'd like to upgrade. So I know their letter said that it is contingent upon those criteria being met, but there won't be a shovel on the ground until there is a full set of plans and the ENR permit and everything is checked. You have any questions for me?
You mentioned the racket club, so you're talking about the plant on Hogan Drive.
Correct. Any other questions?
Mark, Kelly Development Group, along with my partner John, Locke, and Dan, and Kevin. Some of the questions I've heard on the emails and things reference things like financial ability, things like that. You know, between John and I, we've probably done half the condos at the lake the last 30 years. And, it's not our first rodeo, we've done it many times, we don't want to affect and hurt neighbors and things like that, we understand their concerns. And we don't try to come in and shove it down anyone's throat and force them to look at a condo, but condos are a big part of the Lake of the Ozarks, they're a massive part. They provide a lot of tax revenue without the school children, they do a lot of things like that. But we went ahead and looked at the residential side on the, we can call it the Regency Cove side. And we said, no, let's just stay exactly what they are, this was single family, keep the single family, they're not looking at anything.
I'm sorry, keep the what?
Single family. So that our neighbors, we were being good ushers of our project and saying, let's give them similar to what they have. Well, at least some of the same single family lot. Single family on the opposite side, even though we were up against time share, half of that. We're staying with single family on that side as well. So we're buffering, we're giving up. We're not asking them to change and look at our project, even though we think our project will look very nice. We're only doing it to ourselves in the midsection of the project. I think we put together a good group of people, a good team. Creates a lot of fun for a lot of families that want to be here still. And condominiums are kind of a necessity. We weren't the first ones to do it, but they certainly are here, and I think they're here to stay. And we just want to be good stewards of that as builders. We want to build a single family with it. When it's time, we build a single family, we build attached villas and condominiums where applicable. I think probably the highest and best use for this piece of property at this point to mix them like we have here. Thank you.
What,
Oh, question, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask, and maybe I missed it if Matt said it, so I'm sorry. What is the total unit count that you're looking
I
at?
think we have a total number, man.
That's controlled by your reg, which is basically defined as 17 units per acre. Never can you achieve that density on this real estate. I think you see the number come out of the sewer district at 350 units. So I would maybe use that because that's the capacity that we're available right now.
I've been seeing numbers or hearing numbers from 320 to 400, so I was just.
It'll get into, when we get into the site plan review of getting everything to fit and the setbacks and the space and parking.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, our previous approval, 3 months ago, we had 29 single family units along the lake frontage here.
Yes, sir.
How many are you proposing? I see 2 small areas, one on each side. How many units?
Well, that's the entire shoreline on each side for, and.
Our intent is to keep the cove single family. As Regency Cove comes out, we have those $5 million homes, they would continue out to the.
I'm sorry, can you maybe stand up?
Did I answer that question for you?
No,
So
I'm seeing single family units right here. And then a few right here. It looks to me like you're wanting condos all along this front face of the cove.
correct, that's correct.
Okay, so you said, in keeping with, what's going on in Regency Cove, you would continue to have single family units there. You're just talking about the extension from where the cul-de-sac ends to the point,
The line of sight, that's
but
correct.
not along, Regency Cove Drive.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That'll be a buffer, there won't be any condos along
Now,
that.
when you say a buffer, how wide of a buffer?
It's defined by the reg, I'd have to look that up, there's a reg for the commercial, that's for commercial, so there isn't one.
There will be a setback for,
50 feet?
well, it's for
Building.
R1 or R2. But since there'll be no lots, no buildings, then we'll have to look at what the setback is from the road.
Okay, so what's to keep, if this gets approved for R2, what's to keep condos from going in all along there?
One, the condos are, the best money's on the water, so we're gonna put them on the water. What you see is like a lot of these tracks, like say there's 20 acres, you use all that land to get your density on the water side. The rest of it, you maybe put garages on or parking, but your condos won't populate the whole property. Now, I believe we could easily say, hey, we're gonna leave a 50-foot buffer on that road because that's the kind of space that we waste back there. And I think they could easily give that buffer to that road if that was sensitive to you.
Matt, kind of a follow-up to Larry's question, during the last proposal, you had drawn out basically 6 estate lots up to the dock for the existing Busch property dock. And then you were showing 3 additionally on the opposite side of it. Is that?
These are huge, you'll probably get more homes on there, it'll be the same scales that we have in the neighbors next door. Like the treetops, you'll get the same type of density in there as you would here. That's regulated by your R limits. A lot of that can be 8,500 square feet or 10,000 square feet, that's what will control that volume. and the steepness of the lot to be able to use the lot.
So you're saying there will be more than the 9 that was shown in the last plan in that area?
Yeah, we'll get, I'm sure they'll try to get as many as they can in there that meets the letter of the R one. Just like every other subdivision stuff.
We're not talking a large number, right, R1,
No.
single
Our
family.
intent was that when you pull into that code, those codes will remain single family. We're not gonna jam a bunch of condos in there, like, there are a bunch of condos in the code to the west already. We're not adding any more to it.
Ron, are you still with us?
Yes,
Any questions?
not yet.
What kind of question?
He said.
He said
Matt, one more, and I apologize, I'm sure you said it, I get the condos here. What are we doing in this area?
You might see a garage product there, but it's certainly a courtyard, or parkway, something you're gonna wanna protect that brings you to the property.
So going, there's no building as far as condos and stuff in this.
You know, the market's on the water.
Right. Okay.
Anyone else from the developer applicant that wishes to speak? All right, appreciate Matt and Lee and Mark for your input. Before we hear comments from the public, is there any other questions from the commissioners?
I'm sorry, on the condos, you're talking towers, how many stories?
These, they figured out how to do, correct me if I'm wrong, they have a 5-story product that we're able to build out of wood, where the bottom level is a walkout basement. It's made of concrete, and then you go 4 stories on it. So the current trend is we can do most of that building out of wood. That's what you see most of them, except for the one across the lake, which is a full steel building.
Right.
And those turn out to be twice as much money, so.
Sure.
You're kind of limited to that style, like the top center project, the probably newest, and then the Havens, the project next door, the
Right.
lodge, those are both the 5-story. Like,
How many units are you anticipating of that? You might show that to the public.
got this picture here, if you guys have not seen this.
My question then is a follow-up to Chuck then, and maybe I can weigh in. What are? I know our requirements, isn't there a 35-foot height requirement?
It varies depending on if one floor is underground and depending on the grade of the adjacent area. So once the plans are given, then I will have to go through and measure all the elevations to make sure that they meet under our code and our ordinance.
Have you had a chance to look at what they're proposing to know if that?
There is no development plan made yet. We are basically just going through the rezoning first before we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in the engineering part of it.
Because believe it or not, the condo next to the lodge, not that limit.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yes,
I said, in fact, the condo that we just built next to the lodge 4 Seasons, believe it or not, met that 35-foot limit. That thing was huge.
So ideally, how many of those buildings did you put up in?
There might be a dozen of them, and some of them a little wider than other. I mean, we got another idea, yeah. Kind of, we can get longer buildings more efficient, and then when we turn the corner around the point, we have to make them smaller, so they kind of will walk around the point. And still keep our setbacks and off the water. And at the same time, providing everybody 2 parking spaces.
Do you know what the setback off the water is?
25 feet, I believe, is the village, right?
25 feet off.
Yes. Off the 662 contour.
I'm sorry.
Off the 662 contour.
So are you proposing to have the boat docks in the cove area then, or would it extend out into the main channel?
Most of our docks are gonna be out on the main channel. There is a plan that shows docks in here like you would have for the residential use. But with this out here, we'd have most of the large docks out on the point. We're really limited what Ameren will let us have inside the cove because of the way the setbacks work for Ameren's rule. So most of our big docks will get out here on the water. We should go get 350 footers out there.
I'm really sorry, we should get one.
They're 350-foot docks, and we have the biggest dock envelope, we call it, on the main channel.
So 300, you can extend 350 feet from the shoreline of the dock.
That's the longest you can make a dock.
And my understanding, you can also extend another 30 with the breakwater.
It's gotta be like right there next to it now,
So
yeah.
are you proposing breakwaters?
There will be breakwaters, but those have to fall inside our dock envelope, so we can only go out 350 feet, it all has to fit in the 350.
I did some measurements in preparation for the meeting. And right now, from the shoreline of the Busch property over to the breakwaters for the Cypress is approximately 2,300 feet. Well, 380 feet out into the main channel, you're restricting an already very busy channel by 16.5%. Do you see concerns with the Water Patrol, Ameren?
No, we have the same right that everybody else on the lake, with their dock, that the rules are being more and more conservative every year. You know, and you do see a lot of boat slips, you don't see very much use. I mean, I live in a 20.5 mile marker, I know Sage Beach, and there's condos all around the cove. And even on July 4th weekend, 20% of the boats aren't moving.
Okay. The one on the right, if you could hold it up.
Here you kind of see, all those white boxes of all these are all the condo docks.
That's my concern is if you look at all those white boxes, all those docks are tucked back into coves. They're not extending out into the navigable.
We would love that, Ameren won't let us.
And that's my big concern is you're sticking a huge navigational hazard out into the lake.
Well, you could argue that, I think when we go through the dock permitting process, we go through an environmental assessment. Where all those agencies climb in, Water Patrol, the county, the environmentalists, and if there was a safety concern, the Water Patrol stopped. In fact, I think they had you rearrange topside shops. With 4 times to make it safe, because they're right next to a bridge, so that was a really kind of dicey area. But they did make changes, but they did get a permit.
As I said, I was just looking at, you're kind of creating a navigation bottleneck with docks out into the main channel like that, and that's a concern I have.
Okay. These rules have changed in the last 10, 15 years. Ameren was having us all put the docks all into the coves. For the most part, we were in the coves. Then everyone despised the main of the coves, blocking their coves, congesting their cove, not seeing the views. And Ameren did a flip flop and put them all out in the main channel and highly restricted the coves. I think the other way was better. I agree with you. But we won't do anything that we're not gonna follow their rules and their laws and all their impacts as well. Safety is an issue. I know that they do safety with lighting on these docks. They do lots of different things. And I know that we can't go past the 350 mark with the weight break. It's 350 and the weight break's inside of that. Is that correct, Joe? Absolutely. Yeah. That's your max. We didn't set those numbers, those rules, you know that.
But I think you have the same, you'll see the same density docks kind of maybe wherever this project goes. Because they're coming so valuable, the developers can't find places for it.
I guess my concern comes from a point of experience. I served 13 years on the condo board for Harbor Town.
Yes.
We have docks on the main channel. And we ended up having to spend 800,000 on breakwaters because the dock maintenance just became overwhelming. And so I guess, we're taxed for looking at impacts to property values. Yeah, initially those docks are gonna be new and everything, but as they get beat up out there in that main channel, that becomes, to me, a concern of rising maintenance costs.
Absolutely.
That eventually would potentially make that project unattractive because of the rising maintenance fees. I mean,
we have that same concern as we have to sell this to the buyer that is gonna fork out the money for this. And so we are gonna be selling some of the highest end condominiums that I'm seeing, which is
I'm
fine.
sorry,
Some of the highest value condominiums like seeing that will be here. This will be the start of the pinnacle. The next guy after us will do the higher than that probably. So, but along with that, the docks that are going in are the best of the best going in, and the wave breaks are the best of it. From a learned experience over the last 30 years, I put a very large wave break in it, what is now Land's End. I put that in back in 1999, 2000, right then, when they took the tires out. of the lake at that time, they had tires. Tires worked very well, believe it or not. The docks there held up very well, it's one of the roughest spots of the lake. I agree this is rough as well. But we're gonna go ahead and not put these wave breaks in 6 years after start, 7 years after start, and 10 years when the damage is done to the dock. We also have reserves into these docks to replace the docks. Keep them up, first of all, keep them, but then replace them even. They only have a lifespan of 30 or 40 years and they have to be replaced. So there will be the reserves set up in the dock association at that time. And I agree with you, people didn't understand how rough this lake could get back in the day. So it was learning lessons for an awful lot of people. So we have the lessons that were learned to build from today. And believe me, we're gonna go for the best of the best of that as well. Engineering's a big thing, it really is.
Another question I have, how will your covenants and restrictions be set up concerning short-term rentals? And the reason I ask that is in our comprehensive plan that was done, 7, 8 years ago, a lot of the residents, only 29% of them wanted to see short-term rentals. So that's something that, you know, a lot of residents are not in favor of short-term rentals. So will your covenants and restrictions allow rentals, or will that be?
We'll regulate. I don't know that we haven't really decided on how we would go with that at this point. It's I don't know what this market means. In other words, this price range we're gonna go into, we don't know what the customer is gonna eventually want. We'll follow what the consumer is looking for.
I'd like to make a comment.
And I know that you can't do a lot of those, you can still get your condominiums into the groups to get the insurance, to get the things that you have to do when you have multiple rental units in there as well. So I think it's a double-edged sword when you do that.
As I read the R2 description, it says same as R1 in regard to some things here. And one of those things, I'll just read it verbatim. No buildings and land shall be rented for transient guests for a period of less than 31 consecutive days. So even in R2, that's how I read it.
We're gonna follow the rules of the law. Whatever the law states is what we're gonna be bound by. I was not aware of that. Were you aware of that, man?
No, I was understanding that there was a zoning that you guys did allow that. Is the commercial, is that what? I mean, you had this conversation about.
So in the R2, we do allow nightly rentals, which covers almost every bit of the condos. Regatta Bay, Bristol Bay, Southwood Shores, they always have been. The ordinance that was made decades ago, I do not know, but it's always been that way. And if we're going to not allow nightly rentals in the R2, then the trustees are gonna have to go to all these condo complexes and tell everybody to stop. And I don't think that's gonna be a very smart move.
I've had discussions with legal counsel, and the village ordinances are kind of put together piecemeal, and there's some stuff that didn't get lined up. Because there is one that's on R2 that references all restrictions of R1 apply to R2. R1 has a restriction for nightly rental, and I think that needs to be cleaned up, because yeah, we are allowing it, so I think we need to get that cleaned up on our side.
Yeah, I would say the ball's in your court.
Yeah. You mentioned insurance, and I know that's a huge issue for condos right now.
Well, the insurance I was speaking of is the insurance that if you take, some kind of groups don't want to give insurance, and they don't want to do and lenders as well. When there's a multitude of, when an owner has 10 units, and another owner has 10 units and things like that, that becomes your issue. As far as insurance, these buildings are gonna be the best of the best that's been built at the Lake of the Ozarks. The best fire suppression systems on the decks included, no gas, these are all electric, correct? And the rules in our cuts restrictions that don't permit foul play, changing of things, altering of things, moving of things. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a very nice community. You want it to stay a nice community, and your association guidelines are gonna regulate that. We don't feel we have any problem getting insurance on these buildings. Like my partner has got insurance on his building and no issues at all, none whatsoever. But again, these aren't 30-year-old buildings that have, maybe no fire suppression in them, maybe no firewall, maybe no double drywall, maybe no you know, all the above things that do cause these buildings.
I just know I'm hearing from a lot of condo associations that they're finding it harder and harder to get insured for the association.
And maybe.
Just in general.
And just in general.
Yeah, maybe the claims are having on the old buildings, I don't know. We don't.
They've tripled and quadrupled. in the last
Right,
2
well, we
years.
know that, that's in our budget, and not a problem, you know, we're not afraid
It
of that.
just seems the larger complexes are the ones that they're kind of dropping first.
I think it's
Because I
larger,
know Harbor Town, where I used to live, you know, American Family was our insurer for years, and I spoke to the board member there a few years ago, and they got notice, yeah, you're done.
right,
We're not gonna insure you, so.
But most of them found a replacement vendor is what
But
they had
then
new people came to town.
it's getting difficult.
Yeah,
well, I mean, the market's still there. We don't have any problems with the large term period, not saying they're big issues. And again, between John and I, we've done most of the projects that we can look at today and see. I've not heard, I've even asked that question, because I was told that might even be a question today, before we even decided we got a land. And we were sure that, you know, based on that, and there was also a question about our financial wherewithal, there's no good lender in this, there's no bank, there's no bank, there's no lender, there's no interest payments to do. This is us at our own pace. We do what we want. And we're thankful that we got that ability in this project. It is a large project, we get that, but it's a large piece of land. Very large piece of land, almost a mile of shoreline. It's not a 4 acre where we're stuffing 100 condos on it or something like that. It's deserving of a high-end quality product.
I'm just curious, do you live on the Bend?
I live in St. Louis. I've lived on the Lake of the Ozarks myself for 10+ years. And I find myself moving back to this, on the property itself. As soon as I go to the place, I will be living there.
The only reason I ask, I see the positives and the negatives to this project, I live on the Bend and it is a nightmare trying to get out on a Sunday morning to go get lunch or get my groceries or whatever. And I don't know that you could even address that, but that's my biggest concern about this project is all the additional
I
traffic.
don't know that I could, but are we to be disallowed from it because everyone else came before us? I don't know that that's fair either. Horseshoe Bend's a unique situation with one entrance and one exit that hits onto the other very busy road. I think some other work has to be done there for the letting out of the property. I don't know if they've studied that. I have no idea if anyone's.
it's all about the intersection is my understanding. There's some improvements that they need to make that we'd love to help with. But if you look at this project compared, I mean, how many people live on the Bend? Well, say if there are 350 homes here, you're really talking at most would be 3,000 trips out of this building a day when it's on July 4th weekend. And just add that to the thousands of people out here, it's insignificant. But the struggles are, everyone has them, and we talked about this internally, how we can address that. And versus just what Kevin with the road district says, you know, they have to include these intersections, and ultimately you're headed to another lane.
I'm sorry.
Ultimately, you're headed to another traffic way.
I think what my concern is when you're talking 12 condominium buildings full of people versus maybe duplexes where it's not quite so many people coming in. I think that's kind of what I'm feeling when we see this.
Any other questions for the developer applicant from the commission?
Just curious, are you looking, if this goes through, are you looking at doing both kinds at the same time, even single family first,
Same time,
same time?
starting with a single family, it's the very first and first building on that, beyond that.
Okay.
Ron, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Any questions?
Not yet.
All right, thank you.
There are a question. The single family, are these gonna be spec homes? Are these gonna be custom built homes? Spec homes, okay.
A lot easier that way.
Right. Will the single family lots be broken out and sold as lots?
Yes.
Because as you show it here, it's one big parcel. Will you break them up?
They will be fee simple individually on the lot, that's correct.
Okay.
What size generally?
I think we cut, were they 10 or 12,000 feet on that
I'm
side?
sorry, I mean the home itself.
The homes
The homes
themselves,
themselves.
I see them being 4,000, 5,000 square feet on 2 levels, maybe a little more on a story and a half, depending on what these new styles are. We have our colors already picked out, we've got our designs picked out. In addition to John and I building condominiums, people built probably a couple hundred homes here on the lake as well. It's a good success, everyone likes them, they still are up there, they still look great. You know, we want to pick it, we don't want to be the same old box that's been going up. We want to be the newest of the new and what everyone's going, wow, that's what we should have been doing. That's what condos need to look like in Lake of the Ozarks. They need to look just as good on the parking lot side as they do on the lake side.
It's a beautiful project. I like the aesthetics of it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very
my concern is just all that traffic.
I'm just wondering, I'm still stuck on guarantees of the rest of this whole property, and it being developed, into, multifamily units.
So that land is used in the counts for zoning per acre.
I'm
So we,
sorry.
the land is used, the land count and the acreage count that you're speaking of in those areas, besides the buffer, is used to get us to our condo count. Is that correct, Matt?
Correct, which we line up on the shoreline, and the rest of the plan counts as density.
So we would have nothing left over at that point to even be building there in our law or in your law to build anything there anyway. We wouldn't have that built.
By the time you get those condos, the parking lots, the infrastructure, there's no room for really anything else. Maybe a few garages, we thought on the Parkway coming in, but you know, that needs to be beautiful because you're coming into this project. You wouldn't want to pollute that with a bunch of, you know, sheds, by no means.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
Uh,
I'm talking that way.
Oh, sorry. See, where should I start again? There's very little room left for anything but condos, parking and infrastructure, besides maybe a few garages.
Are you looking at any sort of, I am gonna use the word community center, it's not what I mean, but activity, anything, pool, all that stuff
Multiple
on?
swimming pools, there's already tennis on the property. There's a helicopter landing pad, which we don't think we'll be using for anyone or allowing to happen there. We'll find some other use for that, adding a table
So
chairs.
pools would be separate from.
The pools will be,
condos?
there'll be multiple pools with the buildings, because there's multiple buildings going on. Probably half a dozen swimming pools on the property.
Okay, lakeside? I
There's
mean,
not
your
a lot of-
setbacks.
there's not a whole lot of room there. Some people say yes, I personally say no, but we haven't got that figured out yet, where
Okay.
exactly they're gonna fit there. I think that makes it very difficult swimming pool. Very thin,
Mhm,
very steep,
right,
you're looking at a lot of concrete, and that's not necessarily what everyone wants to see.
sure.
Even the owners that don't wanna see that. We have some pools, Matt's got them in the corners, I think, between the buildings on some of these areas here. Like there, yes.
So they get these sweeping views, but
Gotcha, okay.
I'm just the civil, I'm not allowed to make those decisions.
But yeah, tennis, pickleball, kids' activities, things like that, we definitely wanna keep, we want it to be a great family place where. People get to enjoy this, you know, the next group, the next generation is to bring their kids and grandkids too, so. Introduce them to the way, it's different than it used to be. I always look at the historical photos and like, you know, that's all. Yes, sir.
Yes, would the gates to the adjacent properties just be strictly, fire and emergency?
The gates that are in now on the Treetop Village side, yes. Well, they would also, we would short-term maybe using them just for us to get into the housing and things like that. Because the construction on the opposite side.
I talked them into actually giving them to the road district, so if they want to use them, say if Three Tops needs to shut down a road, they can come through us.
I'm most concerned on Regency Cove side.
No one goes through that unless it's emergency or you have some road maintenance, and if you guys want, I think they would be happy to the Regency people could use it for their needs and we could use it if that came to an agreement. Otherwise, I think we're offering here, those will be locked and shut in case there's an emergency, there's only them who use.
Yes, we're not desirous of using those gates.
I'm sorry.
We're not desirous of using the gates on that side of the property.
So no traffic will impact our neighbors other than coming out on the Parkway with our brand new roads.
Is that right where the existing road is?
There's still a stake there, but you see that gravel road? If you come down the hill a little bit, there's might be still a stake right there, and that's where that road comes out. Up in the woods, you might see a fire hydrant right along the edge. That's
No,
where,
I mean, where it meets, HH.
yeah, there's a stake right there, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There's no road at this point.
No, there's a stake here, then you see, there's like a little gravel road up here that'll kind of give you a
It's
road.
a couple hundred feet past that.
Okay.
Talk about the gate.
Matt, is that the two survey stakes that got the orange and yellow tape on it?
There was just one the last time I was there that we staked, I'm not sure, it may not be there, because it's been a
I
year.
saw two relatively new ones.
Yeah, we can always have that put back in if you wanna see that again. I staked it so Kevin Luttrell could see it and approve what we're at.
And I think that's where I put the sign for tonight's meeting, and it was kind of right between those.
Correct, yeah.
And I think the last week, actually, this is pretty much cleared through here, so you can kind of see the clearing going back in there where that road's going.
And actually, there's a power line, I think, that crosses right there.
Yeah, there's that triplex pole set up right here, they landed somewhere there, yeah.
And there is currently no plans for development on the commercial properties?
We'll likely do them ourselves, you know, because we would like to control them. They are the entrance to our subdivision, to our project.
I'm
we
sorry,
don't
I can't hear you.
So we would likely do those ourselves if the time comes and it's right to do them. But we don't want to just sell them without having rights and control over them. Because it is the entrance to our subdivision and to our project and to our condominium. So we want whatever goes there to be in keeping with a high-end luxury kind of project or resort type project. Not something that would be like a quickie gas station in and out, although gas stations are fine. We did it, we would put a very high-end gas station, a very similar look to our building, very similar high-end finishes to our building. But we don't have that really on our books at this point. We don't know if they'll make money, we don't want to see that it fails. And I don't know how the restaurants and all those things, that's not a business we're really into restaurants.
But he kind of inherited the commercial lots from kind of our last deals.
Right.
I think he could probably give them up if you guys don't think there's a need for them there, yeah.
I don't know what this we were saying about. I thought it was, again, I think it was something that we thought you guys.
It was, and we kind of worked through that, and they're there, and we'll see where they go, yeah.
I just didn't make it green personally, but.
I think the intent last time was the village has so little sales tax base. Was they like the idea of having the commercial lots for the potential to generate some more sales tax revenue for the village. But, you know, finding that right niche, niche business to fit in there. That's gonna be attractive to your development and also maybe difficult,
The lake's so unique, and I'm explaining it to people that we do all the time, is that you've got that 140-day window. That's where you make your living, and if you're a business, not everyone. 80% of the business, I'd say, rely on that summer fall. And that's tough to figure out which business is right for that.
Your new road that you're gonna build, can you describe what it's gonna look like? What is it gonna be gated?
Well, in my mind, I am the developer, I'm gonna decide about everything that happens there, firstly, I'm gonna decide. Yes, I see a grand entrance coming in, the gates being off the road, so you're in through your area before you even see the gates. But highly green on both sides going in. I see it very stately and landscape like it is now, the property is very landscaped.
So people living there, will they have a code to pass?
We haven't got that far, but if we do gate it, they would have a code, but what,
And 60 foot off the road is what you're looking at?
more than that.
Okay.
Where you be able to get a truck.
So we will have traffic back in.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. I can't put people on my life.
I'm gonna get 150 foot probably is a more likely number than a 60-foot number. Because of people coming in, the gate being closed, or someone you stop there and cars starting to back up.
Right.
You want to run in that situation. They have a boat trailer behind them, made the wrong turn. And then all of a sudden cars sticking out the road. So you've got to have a large area and also have a turnaround before you.
You mentioned boat trailers.
Well, you know,
Where
we're
they
not gonna have work trailers, I don't believe so. Most of the buyers now are getting trailers on, that we find, some have them. And they wind up leaving them at their dealership, and the dealership's got like 800 and sitting out back, and they don't know what to do with them. But a lot of the buyers are buying these boats that are leaving the lake, they're staying on in the slip with painted bottoms or their own lift. It's somewhat smaller ski boats, well, that's not true, even today, with the tow boats. Mastercrafts and those types, they don't really even come with a trailer, it's an action trailer. To get you for another $8,000 or $10,000, and people aren't spending that way, we can go on.
I'm assuming the road will be private, it would not be a Horseshoe Bend special.
That's
residence.
correct, that would be a private subdivision road.
We'd love to get it to the district if we could, of course. Now, Daryl, we did stake that plat up there, so there's a lot of new stakes up there, so you'll get confused up there. I'd be happy to get you a new one if you need to know where that road is. There's a lot of new stakes.
I was just referring to them because I had noticed on there that.
Yeah.
They kind of a general idea where the entrance would be.
So yeah, about where the yellow ends and turns to green, would be approximately where the gate might be in that area.
200 feet is what you said.
Well, that's about 200 feet.
Any other questions? All right. I think it's time to open it up for the public comment. Again, if you wish to speak on the matter, and haven't done so, signed up on the sheet, I believe. Tony, is there another one out in the hallway if they want to sign up? Also, when you come up, please, again, state your name, spell your name, address, board of stenographer. So, also to conserve time, please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. I know a lot of you probably have the same comments and questions. If you can, let's try to avoid rehashing the same point over and over and over again. You know, if anything, just say, hey, I share the same question or concern that so and so had. All right. Matt, you already spoke, so the next one on the list is Anthony Sevi or Sevi.
I feel I'm not the right action. My name is Anthony Stevie.
Wait a minute.
Anthony Stevie, S-E-V-E-Y. And I live at 286 Regency Cove Drive. And I know exactly where the road is because I can see the road from my backyard. So I own about an acre and a quarter right there on lot 62 where the commercial lot is to the west. So I'm extremely concerned what they're going to build. I just want to go on record to basically oppose any changes to the already approved zoning that was approved previously. So I'm on record for that. And then I am extremely concerned what that's going to look like for my backyard. Because I'll be able to see it. And if you talk about putting a gas station in back there, right in my backyard, looking at a damn gas station, okay? I'm not gonna be very damn happy, okay? So, if you do that, I'd like to see that fence. So there's a nice looking fence in my backyard, so I don't have to look at that as being done this entire, for the next couple of years. So that's my, I guess, comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Next person on the list is Steve Gregory from 273 Regency Cove.
I don't have any comments.
Okay. Mark was in next. Kevin Morel.
I'm with the team.
Okay.
One crew.
Gary Brandt. For Uphill Drive.
Right. Gary Brandt, BRAMBT. I'm one of the few permanent owners in treetop condos that were built very top. And I think this is reverse. This is north, this is south, this is the gravel road. In my knowledge, is to the west. But anyway, I have three concerns, I guess. One would be the amount of noise down below. Is there going to be any bar, nightclub, music, squawking, so to speak? There's a safety issue pulling out right there. That's a hill. And I pull out every day down in that, call it valley, and the cars are coming over the top at 45 miles an hour. So up that gravel road, I don't think they can see over the hill. And that would be a major safety concern. And my other concern is, well, the condos down at the water blocking our view. There's a view of the lakes worth a lot of money. 5 stories high.
I'm sorry?
5 stories high is pretty high.
Thank you, Gary. Curtis, did you have
Yes, I just have a couple comments to make.
Curtis Posey?
My name is Curtis, Kurtis, last name is Ozzy, Ohse. I just wanted to give a little bit of clarification because we were talking about the previous zoning process that we already went through and approved, and it seems like there's a lot of questions like, we just did this, why are we changing it again? So I'd like to just give a little bit of explanation so everybody understands. The previous zoning request that I put through was for a different buyer for this property who ultimately couldn't get the funds together to close on it when they had to back out of the contract. So that's why that other proposal that I talked to everybody about isn't moving forward. What I do want to say on behalf of the new buyers is I think that the plan that they put together is a very reasonable and respectful plan, you know, about as best as you can do to best utilize that piece of property and also respect the neighbors. The fact that they took the time to put in the buffer zones, which is something that they had to do. But they did that to be respectful of the neighbors, I think needs to be considered. I heard a couple of things that seems like it's not well understood. Could I grab this for just a second? So, you know, there's a lot of concern about what it's gonna look like and what folks are gonna have to see. And just so everybody understands what they're talking about, from here all the way into here, the way that this project is being described now is gonna leave significantly more trees than the way that it is currently zoned. If this stays as a single family subdivision, the way that it is right now, most of those trees are gonna have to go away to make room for houses and yards. So folks that are concerned about what it looks like, if you're looking to see Cove Drive over here, I would, if I were you, I would rather see those trees along here than houses' backyards. So I think that, you know, that is a consideration that might be getting missed, just from what I'm hearing folks say. So I'll put that back. As far as like all of the concerns that I heard tonight that relate to how it could adversely affect life on the bend, the only really significant one, it sounds like, is the roadway, which you had brought up. And I 100% understand, because I have been in that traffic nightmare before too. But I feel like a denial of this project for that reason isn't a denial for the right reason, because there's gonna be continued development on the bend, whether it's these units or other units in the future, that has to be expanded at some point. And it's gonna take coordination between the village and Lake Ozark and the county to get it done. It's something they should have done a long time ago, but the only thing that can help get that done is the continued development, continued use, continued need, and continued residents and owners here pushing on probably the county, because I think it's ultimately up to the county. It's a county road.
Road district.
Road district. It's ultimately, you know, pushing on them that'll get that done, and when that happens, it'll suddenly make life better for everybody on the bend. So I just wanted to bring that point up. Other than that, you know, I think that it pains me that we're selling this property. I really wish that, you know, I was part of the team that was developing it, but unfortunately, that just didn't work out for me and my business partner that started down this path together with. And so this is the direction we were going, but I would really hate to see you guys deny what looks to be a really great project that would make good use out of that property. I understand everybody hates the idea of more condos, but when you look at the fact that that property is already surrounded, like that stretch of several miles of lake is already mostly multifamily, it just seems pretty inconsistent to now suddenly say, well, we can't have any more, especially when it's been proposed in what I feel like is a very mindful and you know, considerate way. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Curtis. The next one I have on the list is Brad Klosterman from 467 Regency Cove Drive.
I don't have this spelling.
Last name is Holsherman, spelled Colsterman. And the only concern I have is the condos. I did a search, Google search of how many condos are for sale right now for Lake of the Ozarks. There's at least 500 right now. So I would rather see the multi-family be denied and just do homes. So that's basically all I got. Thank you.
Right. Next on the list is Susan Steinweg or Steinweg.
Oh, okay, I wasn't expecting this, but while you can make the road wider, oh, you want me to spell my name? Yes, okay, wait a minute. Susan and Steinweg, Steinlage. I think my big complaint will be, lake, you can't make that any wider and it's already a nightmare out there. Adding that many more boats and stuff is a no-go as far as I'm concerned. My grandchildren like to go out there and it's scary. So put more boats out there won't. Okay. Oops.
Thanks, Susan. The next is Jared Heinz from 533 Regency Court.
I have no comment.
Okay, thank you. The next one is John Sporting.
I have no comment.
Okay. Jim Miller from Treetop Loft.
Can I just say here, yes, we,
I'm sorry, I don't have.
Jim Miller,
Jim Miller.
and we live, our home is probably the closest to this property in Treetop. We are full-time residents. And they've explained that the net, I believe, because there's no developing thing, it's very hard to understand where we are in respect to this property. But I believe we're along that neck. And for all of Treetop, there's a significant buffer of trees before you get to the clearing road. And my concern is they will take down that buffer of trees. Now, hearing today that there's no major development along that net, I still want to know what kind of buffer they will preserve to Treetop Village. And without a development plan, you cannot tell what's going on. So that's the end of my comment.
Yeah. Lee Schumann, did you have anything else you want to add?
No, I was just putting my information on the sign-up sheet for you.
I'm just reading the names as they pop up here. Mike Ruck from 310 Lakeshore Drive.
That's Mike RUCK. I totally understand where these guys are coming from. I'm the developer that denied condominiums a long time ago. I understand where they're at. In order to spend the kind of money they're gonna spend on this property, you've got to build enough units on there that makes sense. But on the other hand, I think citizens have kind of spoken to the village through the comprehensive plan. And then that comprehensive plan, I think it was very obvious that, 50% of the people said they would encourage single family residents, while only 10% said they wanted multi-family. There's also a considerable question when they were asked about, which has been brought up all this evening, is they absolutely love, 93% expressing overwhelming satisfaction with our road district. But 63% agree that it's terrible on weekends. So I guess the question is, do you listen to the citizens or do you not listen to the citizens? And I totally understand where these guys are at. You can't do
You can't spend what they're spending on this property without doing multifamily. Now, our fallback position was to do attached villas. And they've been very successful, but the return on investment isn't the same with that you're gonna get with your condominiums. So I appreciate where they're at, but I also think the citizens have talked through this comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mike. Jackie Hansbrough,
That's me, and I'm in comment.
thank you. And the last name I have is Bob Avery from Treetop Village.
Well, I'm Bob Avery, Avery, Treetop Village Board President. So I'm speaking for 71, developing now into 71 private owners and 25 acres of Treetop Village. We're immediately to the west, as we've talked about. As Gary Grant said, a view on the lake is worth a lot of money, and people pay a lot of money for that, and they expect to continue with that view. What I'm seeing from just around the corner, if I understand it, even though we're given a buffer of 50 feet or whatever it is along the edge, this peninsula of land, starting at the water level, rises very steeply toward the center. And all the way through it, on all areas, it has a steep center. When I look, can I touch your picture? Thank you. When I look at this, and I'm looking at this now, and I think of 12 of these or more lined up along that whole ridge, and I think of the 71 people in Treetop Village, and many more in Treetop condominiums that enjoy the same view, we're looking at beautiful sunsets to the west, beautiful trees that change colors all year long. It's just pure blissful beauty that you see. And what I visualize now is this changing into a wall of glass 5 stories high, that's going to block all of that. So even with that buffer down at the lake, what we're worried about is what's up here, where we normally see the sunset, where we normally see the trees. You know, what are we going to be looking at there? And I agree, I don't have near all the information that it takes to say this, but it's one of the points that several gentlemen and ladies have made before me. There needs to be a lot more information provided before I would believe that this could go forward. There's just too many unknowns, it sounds like to me at this time. It's true that we're going to continue to develop Treetop Village, and we're going to continue to build homes. But the traffic is a big issue, like we talked about. But are we saying we're going to start building small pieces of land with 300 to 400 units on them? Is that what we really want in the rest of the village of Four Seasons? That we can say, well, we can do it here, we can just keep packing them in? Because that's not going to work for our road in the long run. The citizens have made some important comments. There's been a lot of numbers out there about the citizens. You have our comments from Treetop Village. I think Treetop condominiums are going to be affected just like we are. And I hope that the council and the board will listen to the citizens of Treetop of the village of Four Seasons.
Thank you, Bob. Is there anyone else? That was the last name that was on the list. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak on the matter? Is there anyone on the developers or applicants that want to respond to the comments?
I'm not sure which gentleman who lives by the very front of the corner. We're not desirous of doing commercial at the front of the entrance there. We're desirous of leaving it.
Sorry.
We're not desirous
Speak
of
to
doing, we're not desirous of doing commercial at the entrance. We're not, but it is, I believe it's a requirement for someone else that we have commercial zoning there. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, that was part of the other.
We would like to leave it as all our entrance. That's what we would like. So I'm not opposing you, and I'm not saying that's something we really like. There's another gentleman just now on the treetops and the sunsets and things. That whole side is single family residential. We're not changing that side. That's the buffer we were leaving there in the beginning.
I'm sorry.
It's the treetop side, looking at our project. We were leaving single family residential, not 5-story glass buildings on that side of the property. On purpose, and in the very beginning, we are leaving it that way. We're not doing single family residential. not 5-story high glass buildings. We're doing that to ourselves and out to the main channel.
And you won't be able to see the buildings on the other side either, from the treetops, so. If you're here looking this way, we've got 60, 70 feet.
Face this over here.
You didn't know.
There.
These valleys are so deep that the buildings sitting on here, you won't see them from here, you won't see them from here. You'll see them when you come around this way, you won't see them from this way either. And you probably won't see the back of these buildings from this other property.
And the scale of this property is extremely large. It's not like you're turning in and then there's all the buildings.
Can you show that
half
for
a
the
mile
board?
where you know where you see it first.
You see these are all 5-foot contour lines, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 feet. There's 50 feet of elevation difference there, our building can only go up 35 feet. So the roofs are gonna be lower than the ridge top here, lower than the ridge top here.
But we're not doing any high-rise buildings, we're not doing high roof lines on the building, keeping the roofs low. And the design we're doing is called neoclassic design. It's my style, it's my design, and that's also to keep views kind of good and open and larger. The entry floor mats from the parking lot, what floor do you enter this?
We're up, we're third or
We're
fourth.
entering the third floor.
I'm sorry,
We're entering the third floor of the building.
are we having Q and A now between these guys?
Yes, that's apparently what we're doing.
Okay, could you get closer?
Okay,
please?
yes,
Obviously, I'm having a problem with
yes,
this.
ma'am. What we do.
Ask-
I know. So we enter the buildings on the third floor. Entering on the third floor means I only have 2 stories visible above the parking lot level, which is where everyone's currently talking about these 5-story buildings going up.
Mark,
So they won't.
can you focus?
They
on-
won't.
I know you wanna talk to the audience.
I get it, I'm trying to talk to
Talk to
people.
them.
I'm talking to people who are jumping the question. So let's just, the way I was talking to speak, I apologize. So we're not that tall above what you're talking on your sidelines anyway. We're only 2 stories above with a relatively flat roof. So that's 20 some feet in the air at its highest point. And some of those instances like Matt, the engineer was saying, the ridges are taller than that to begin with. The trees in the parking lot are taller than that to begin with. So you really don't see our buildings from anywhere but from on our own site already, and we've buffered both residential on both sides of the property. But I just think we haven't addressed that very well. More so than by any other developer done. All the guys I know before have taken every inch of every property with end to end and went 5 stories and 6 stories tall, and they built the whole thing without any consideration. That's because they could. We could be asking for that. We're not asking for that. We want to be good stewards of the land, good stewards, good neighbors. We know people don't want condos once they're in. If I was living there, if I say no condos next door to me, I'm not gonna get a single family, even if I was any condo. Because single family is more expensive. But unfortunately, the lake is probably 40% condos at this point, maybe more. So I guess I'm just trying to give you guys all from our side. We are trying to be good together. We're good to the neighbors.
What is the anticipated price point on these units?
We haven't nailed that completely down, but probably starting in the 800,000 numbers and going up to the $5 million mark.
Is that inclusive of the?
Single family residential will be the high end of the 5 million. Some of the attached buildings will go up to on the single family residential side. If they're attached, they would be in the $3 million area. And some of the condos will get into the 1.8 and 1.9 million dollar number.
Can you show me on that map where you're gonna put the condos?
So condos would start at the point here.
Yeah.
Through our own area, our own code here, and across the main channel here, ending right here.
So the green area, I guess, east of the single family.
Yeah, so the condos don't go up into here, we have no condos on anything back into this area, no condos back, this is the very large garage that's on the property right now, it's 8,000 square feet.
We're trying to save that as a recreation center, yeah.
Correct. In front of that would be a helicopter landing pad, and you come to some sports courts out here, and tennis courts here. There are 4 single-family residences across the property now. Those will likely all come down at some point in the future. There's a nice swimming pool here. We don't know if that would probably have to be a new pool off the corner, one side or the other.
I see us coming up the top of that, saving the bluff on the water side. It really gives the project a very beautiful kind of earthy
So
feel.
the bulk of our condominiums are through the middle of our own cove right through here.
So above that, north of the garage, nothing's gonna be
You
developed.
know, that's the entryway to Broadway. We see a grand entrance coming in.
Big area right here.
There'll be a parking lot through there, if anything. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And I believe the board will have another chance to review those details in the site plan review process, which all these details will be presented and documented to the board.
Ron, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any questions?
Not at this time. No. I'm pretty familiar with what they're trying to do.
I just don't want to forget about you over there, Ron.
Okay.
You're tucked in the corner of your shoulder, so I forget you there.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions from the commission?
I have a question, to Curtis. Curtis, can you tell me how many units you have left to sell at the Havens?
None.
None, so they're sold. Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. I checked with the local realtor here day before yesterday. And in the Four Seasons property, there are currently 135 condos for sale and 35 homes. So staying with what the vision was for the Four Seasons, I think we need more single family homes. And I'm struggling a little bit with not keeping with that. So,
When that committee met and we did that plan, the bulk of the responses that were received to us were from single family homeowners. So of course, it's going to be skewed in that direction. As far as if you were going to put that many homes on this, the homes are going to be so much more expensive than even the condos you're looking at. I don't think you're going to get any result that go broke doing what you're trying to do. As far as the amount of condos and single family homes in Four Seasons, we have gotten how many how many permits were done this year? Have any idea? New construction?
I only have
Four
14
Seasons?
new homes this year,
This
single family homes.
But only 14 compared to past.
I'm on goal, that I had 14 last year. The year before I was not
Awesome.
here, so.
Were most of those spec homes?
They're spread all over
Okay.
the village. I have some on Horseshoe Bend. I got some over on Case Point. I have some on Country Club. I mean, they're just scattered everywhere.
I agree with a great many of the sentiments that are made here, and I understand I came in with a very negative thought of that many condos as well. At the same time, progress is gonna go whether you like it or not. So the idea of the road is a matter that the road needs to be fixed. When we did that comprehensive plan, I was on that committee and we had no direction given to us. So we didn't even address that stuff. It was brought up once or twice. And Clint and I got into an argument about every time on everything. So we didn't get anywhere else. I'm saying Clint, this is not Clint. He's not here. We agreed last meeting for the first time ever. And we're both real, no big deal. But I think we have to not shoot down something that could be good in the future. I'm 71. I'm not going to be here that much longer, but the lake's going to be. And the amount of people who want to come here is going to continue to get bigger. Are we going to have less traffic because we don't build this? Hell no, we're not going to have less traffic. We're never going to. I have screwed up twice this year, twice. and come on to the bend. I live on Horseshoe Bend. I live out in 6 Mile Cove off Anemone.
Off where?
Anemone. Anemone. Those 2 times I made a mistake of trying to come from my house to go to my office up by JB Hooks area before 12 o'clock. I knew that. I was stupid. If you live here, you learn it. Doesn't mean we like it, but we learn it. I just, sorry, I'm done.
Daryl.
Curtis?
Just one last point to make because I've
I'm
heard
sorry,
this.
can you?
Yes.
Might not.
Just one last, again, first, just one last point to make, because I've heard this a couple times too, the concern that. You know, all of this development, do we want more condos? So one important thing to consider, I don't know if you've looked at a satellite view of the Village of Four Seasons lately, but. This is your last chance at any sort of significant development in the Village of Four Seasons. There is no other property. I'm not gonna promise you that nobody's gonna ask for another condo zoning. I mean, there's little pieces here and there, but I think that it's really important that you consider that you have a very capable developer who's wanting to put in a really nice upscale project, because you don't get another chance after this. If this property goes a different way, that's it. There are no more chances for the Village of Four Seasons to do anything like this. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Alright, last call for questions, comments, feedback.
I have one question.
Okay, your name, please.
It's very hard to look
I'm
at that
sorry,
plan.
I'm sorry, I can't remember your name.
Jim Miller. It's very hard to. I live in Treetop Village, and where is the entrance to the property today on that next? Because it's not referenced.
Maybe this one. I have a little better here. I'll stand in front of you, identify yourself. We're here, your Treetop Village starts here.
Mark, she can't.
She doesn't turn around when he identifies his property, I'm turn around and stand up. You need to stop.
Well, I'm but we live right there.
Okay.
So. What I'm trying to figure out is where the entrance is on your plan.
If I may,
Yes,
I can't really show you all here, but you know where the treetops? This is Matt Marsh again. Treetops is entering the property Busch. There's a gate right there.
correct. That's, okay, that's the property.
Yeah, right there.
And
We're closing that off and we're not driving through that anymore.
And the blue is.
Blue is gonna be single family homes. So right here where these treetops are, we're building single family homes next door.
That was my question.
Name and.
Sure. My name is Paul Wendell. KARLWENDELL. I'm the president of the Association of Treetop Condos. I have some concern, we already have drainage problems. And I'm concerned about what is gonna happen in the area that is adjacent to our property as far as drainage goes. We're already, even from the main road, we have problems with drainage coming down when it rains hard. So I would be very concerned about that. Thank you.
Carl. Going once, going twice, last call. Speak now, forever hold the peace. Alright. Appreciate everyone's feedback and comments. I've not done this in the past, but I kind of feel with this larger crowd. Now that we've heard from the applicant, we've heard from residents. I would like to conduct a straw poll just to get a feel from the audience to know where you guys fall. Because I know a lot of people come in here with, maybe they fall on one side of the issue, but then they hear the response and they hear the feedback from that, the developer, and they may have switched their position. I might think that they're against the project based on what they asked. But I'm tasked with filling out a finding of fact for the trustees, so. I'm gonna ask for a straw poll, and I'm gonna ask it to just be the residents and owners within the village that responds. Not that I'm trying to discriminate from anyone outside the village, but this is our community, and I wanna hear directly from you. So I'd like to see a show of hands. Please keep your hands up so I can kind of count, and Lisa will kind of help her count. A show of hands who are in favor of the application to rezone the property to R2. So you're in favor of the multifamily residential? 9. So I see 9. All right, those that are opposed to the requested rezoning application.
You're moving.
Don't move. Okay. So 9 in favor, 13 opposed. All right.
We all
I'm just trying to get a feel for how our residents feel, so.
I would also ask those people, there's husband and wife. You want to get real accurate. I'm a math guy.
All right, last call for questions from the commission. All right, if we don't have any further comments, questions, the chair would now entertain a motion concerning the recommendation for this application. And again, we are making a recommendation to the board for approval or denial of the request.
I would recommend that we put forth to the board to review this further and decide yes or no. I didn't say that. Tell me again, what is the one say?
We have to provide a recommendation to the trustees for either approving.
Okay, I move that we approve the proposal as stated to the board.
I second that.
So we have a motion and a second recommending approval of the requested rezoning. Is there any discussion amongst the commissioners for the motion?
I think, there's been a number of things that we heard from, the letters that we received and from the straw polls, and from the people at Treetop. Where I feel there's sufficient, reasons to not approve it. That's my comment.
Ron, do you have any discussion?
No, I mean, I'm generally in favor of it, and all we're doing is recommending a zoning change, and it's up to other folks to make sure the development meets the criteria that's all put forth. Is that correct?
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Any other discussion?
Well, I oppose it as it's currently proposed by you guys. I'm open to some revisions. I'm not really a fan of the condos. I think it'd be better either villas, as mentioned before, or duplexes. I'm concerned about the traffic that's going to be coming out of this place. Especially any kind of holidays, or actually even weekends anymore. It's getting pretty crazy out there. How are these people going to get out when it's back all the way up past Cherokee? You know, how long is it going to take them to get out? I'd love to say people will let them out one at a time, but those people have been waiting an hour to get up past Cherokee. You know, what kind of anger, road rage might happen? So that's my concern. I've lived here for 13 years and I've experienced it. It's getting worse every year. I think that kind of needs to be addressed before we put a whole bunch of more condos, and I'm sure it's gonna be more development further down Horseshoe Bend. I think it's an issue. And I'd like the infrastructure to be addressed before we do more. I'm not a developer, so that's my feelings.
I have another comment. I'm also concerned about short-term rentals as well as, the increased congestion on the water.
Is that all the comments? All right. If that's it, then I will do a roll call vote on the motion. And again, the motion is recommending approval of the rezoning request to the Board of Trustees. Lisa?
Aye.
Larry?
Opposed?
Chuck?
Aye.
Ron Natter?
Aye.
Bill Pittenger?
Opposed. You're in the hot seat.
No. Well, it's just a recommendation, so we're gonna end up with a tie because I am going to vote no. And my reason for voting no is the lack of details. I just don't see enough details, to get me across the line. So yes, for right now, I am a no. And again, this is a recommendation to the trustees. So, I mean, they can take this information and they can run either direction with this. So this is strictly a recommendation. So we have a 3-3 tie, which I will present that in the findings of fact to the trustees. The trustees will be having a special meeting Monday evening, December 15th at 5:30 here. Danielle, is this the only thing on the agenda, or is there a couple of items?
There's other things on there.
Okay. So this will be the agenda Monday evening for them to take up our recommendation. I would encourage, people with Kelly Development or Matt or whoever to be here if they have questions, so that you can provide feedback. If that is it, thank you everyone for your input and your feedback at the public hearing. If not, I am closing the hearing. If there's no additional business from the commission, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Is that it?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Yeah.